As if that weren't enough, Silver Shamrock has brought on board ace editor-author Kenneth W. Kane to give these stories the attention they deserve and to maximize their impact on you, the listener. Heck, even the cover is a stunner, a whispered promise of the hauntings to come. I've kept this introduction brief so you could get to the good stuff. I told you in the beginning I stink at making predictions, and I stand by that. I have no idea if the Cubs will win another World Series, whether or not Glenn Close will win an Oscar, or what the odds are on that George Strait Metallica collaboration for which I've always yearned. What I do know is this. Silver Shamrock is doing this thing right. They've assembled a ferocious roster of talent for Midnight in the Graveyard, and created an anthology certain to give you hours of pleasure and more than a few nightmares. It's time for you to go now, to venture into the cemetery on the cover with your lantern held aloft, and your body stiff with fear. What's waiting for you amongst these gravestones and moon-kissed oaks is getting impatient. And though you're not wearing a wristwatch, the timepiece in your coat pocket reads 1 minute to midnight. Enter, friend. I wish you well, but I've got to warn you. These ghosts are hungry. Devil's Dip by Shannon Felton. Allison would freak out if she caught me smoking in the garage. Yet there I was, lighting one after another, the place heavy with the smell of sweat and ash. One right after another, until a pile of butts spilled out of an overflowing ashtray onto the workbench and floor. Knowing her, she'd come in screaming about my health, the baby's health, about what a fire hazard I had created. And she wouldn't be wrong. With all the wood chips and shavings scattered across the floor, it was a wonder the place hadn't already gone up like a tinderbox. But then again, she was the one who was screwing her boss, so fuck her, right? Which was probably why she was staying upstairs in the guest room. She was giving me space. How considerate. I guess it was the least she could do after nuking our marriage. 15 years. Right down the drain. I grabbed another smoke from the pack, lit up, and started digging through some old boxes. Talk about a trip. And by trip, I mean heartbreaking. I popped an old cassette tape into the stereo and wondered where the fuck I had gone wrong in my life. What had happened to that kid who sneered at the suburban sheeple, who laughed at the old losers who mowed their lawns on Saturday so they could grill on Sunday? Who had I become? You know what the funny thing was, though? I'd actually grown up and wanted all that shit. I'd gotten out of that crap-hole town, conquered my demons, and had done everything right. I worked hard. I didn't mess around. And the truth was, I really loved her. Somehow, it still hadn't been enough. It made me feel like a goddamn fool. That was the worst part. No, that was a lie. The worst part was that she had finally gotten pregnant. And now I wondered if a baby was even mine. To think we'd just gone halfway across the country so our families could meet Evelyn, and there was a chance I wasn't even her father. It was embarrassing how proud and stupid I'd been, driving through my hometown for the first time in a decade, looking down on it all like I was king of the world. I'd been relieved, believing my childhood in Monticello was nothing more than a dream, a toothless nightmare made of the sort of stuff and nonsense that gave you a good laugh in the morning. And all the while my wife sat in the seat beside me, sexting with Alan Fuckhead, potential sperm donor of my baby girl. I hadn't even bothered to visit Mike. That's how good I was feeling. Who needed him anymore, I thought. Certainly not me, not Mr. Big Shot with his gorgeous wife and beautiful baby. Could you blame me, though? It's not like I hadn't tried my best to stay in contact with him. Even after I moved, even after 20 years had passed, I still called him, still checked in, still tried to hang on to some of that friendship we had back in the good old days. He stayed in Monticello, married some girl I'd never met. She was older than us, a waitress at the one good Italian place in town, and worked for